My name is Hilda. I'm sitting alone at a table in my cozy cabin this Christmas, a single candle flickering, a plate of stew in front of me. Outside, the snow is gently falling, and I'm lost in my thoughts, reflecting on how I got here. It all came to a head during the last family Thanksgiving. I'd spent days preparing for this dinner, just like I always did. I worked as an event planner for a big corporate firm, and my organizational skills had always bled into my family life. This time was no different. My family comes from a well-to-do background. My parents, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, are quite traditional. My father is a strict and somewhat aloof man, always expecting things to be done his way. My mother is more talkative but just as demanding, constantly criticizing and never satisfied. I'd cooked for 12 family members. I'd planned the menu meticulously, taking into account everyone's dietary preferences. My cousin, Jake, was on a vegan diet, and my aunt, Sarah, had a gluten allergy. I'd gone to the best markets to buy the freshest ingredients, and I'd spent hours in the kitchen, cooking with love and care. The day of the dinner, I set the table beautifully. I lit the candles, adjusted the playlist 3 times to make sure it would please everyone from my young nieces to my elderly grandparents. I was standing there, my apron creased, my hands still smelling of rosemary and garlic, when my mother took a bite of the roast beef I'd made. She scrunched up her face and said, "Next time, just order from that fancy steakhouse downtown. This is barely edible." My father, without even looking up from his plate, added, "Or maybe you should just stay out of the kitchen. You're clearly not cut out for this." They both laughed, and the rest of the family joined in. I stood there, my ears ringing, my throat dry. Not a single person at the table said a word in my defense. They just kept eating, chatting, and enjoying the meal I'd slaved over. In that moment, something inside me snapped. It wasn't anger or hurt, it was a realization. I'd been the one setting the table, taking care of everything for so long, and they'd never once seen me as an individual, just as a servant. I took a deep breath, set down the serving spoon, and untied my apron. I folded it in half and draped it over the back of my chair. I said, in a calm voice that surprised even me, "Next time, you all can pay for the food and do the cooking. I'm done." My Aunt Sarah gave a little laugh and said, "Oh, come on, Hilda. Don't be so sensitive." My cousin Jake smirked and said, "It's just Mom being Mom." But I knew they didn't understand. For the first time in my life, I wasn't going to back down. I wasn't going to defend myself or try to make them happy. After dinner, I cleared my own plate and left the rest of the dishes on the table. I didn't offer to do the dishes like I always did. I just went upstairs to the guest room. I closed the door behind me, not out of politeness but as a statement. Once in the room, I sat down at my laptop. I logged into my Airbnb account and canceled the reservation for the family's New Year's ski trip in Aspen. I'd spent weeks finding the perfect place, one that was close to the slopes, had a hot tub, and was big enough for everyone. I also canceled the reservation for the family's summer beach house in Malibu. I then went to the shared Google Drive, which was filled with all my planning documents for family events, itineraries, shopping lists, budget spreadsheets. I selected everything and deleted it without a second thought. I left all the family group chats without saying goodbye. The next morning, I woke up early, feeling a sense of clarity. I could hear my father downstairs making coffee, probably expecting me to come down and organize the leftovers. But I didn't. I opened my laptop again and booked a solo cabin in the mountains for Christmas. It was a small, one-bedroom place with a wood stove and no Wi-Fi. It took a couple of days for my family to notice. My brother, Tom, texted me, "Hey, what happened to the Aspen trip? The site says it's canceled." I didn't reply. An hour later, he followed up, "We already sent you our share of the money. What's going on?" I logged into the family PayPal account, refunded every cent, and didn't leave a note. My mother called me, but I let it ring. Then I got an email from her. The subject line was "We need to talk about the family trips." The email was full of scolding. She said I was being irresponsible and that everyone relied on me. But I didn't reply. The family group chat exploded with messages. What's happening with the summer house? Who's going to plan the 4th of July party? Hilda, are you there? But I ignored them all. I went about my life. I went to the grocery store, bought myself some nice things, a new book, some fancy tea, and a box of chocolates. I came home, made myself a warm bath, and read my book. I didn't check my phone, and I didn't worry about my family's needs. In the days that followed, I realized how much I'd been sacrificing for my family. I'd always thought that being helpful and responsible made me valuable, but I'd been invisible to them. I'd been the scaffolding that held their family events together, but they'd never once acknowledged my efforts. This Christmas, sitting here alone, I feel a sense of peace. I've learned that my worth isn't defined by what I do for others. I'm more than just a planner and a fixer. I'm a person with my own needs and desires. I still have the apron I wore that Thanksgiving. It's folded neatly in a drawer, a reminder of the day I chose myself. I don't know how my family's holidays are going. I'm sure they're struggling to organize things without me, but that's not my problem anymore. I'm looking forward to a future where I can focus on what makes me happy. Maybe I'll take up painting, or I'll travel to some of the places I've always dreamed of. I'm not done with my family forever, but I'm done being their doormat. If we ever rebuild our relationship, it'll be on my terms, where I'm seen and valued for who I am. As I sit here, watching the snow fall, I know that this is just the beginning of a new chapter in my life. And I'm ready to embrace it.